P caught her husband in an affair and she don't know how to move on. I've suspected things had been going on for a while, but kept brushing it off. I thought he would never do that to me. Since around April, he's been refusing my attempts to have sex most of the time, sitting differently on the couch to where he's facing away from me. Little things. It's with one of our good friends. She came to my house a few weeks ago. She's texted me. She's pretended to be there for me. I found out because I rolled over and they were having a Snapchat conversation. She said she wished she could be there to hold him, and he summarized that I tried to seduce him last night and mocked it. I confronted him and he admitted it. He said that it was because quarantine was stressful. He does not want to work things out. He thinks of me only as a friend in his heart. When I told her husband, he confronted her and apparently they actually kissed back in February. I think at that moment, I was never going to be enough for him. We used to be so happy. The week before they kissed, we celebrated Valentine's Day together. He bought us a nice bottle of wine for our anniversary. We had fun, we were perfect. I don't know where to go from here. We've been married only about a year. I feel like he took so much from me and doesn't even want to go to therapy or work this out. I don't want to leave my house, but everywhere in it I see him. He chose her. I've been cheated in every relationship I've ever been in. He was supposed to be my forever. I don't know what to do. I've made therapy appointments, but I was also laid off last month, so I have too much free time to analyze every single moment where he might have been lying to me, or where I made myself pathetic trying to cling to him. How do I start to get through this? Lawyer first. Get the divorce filed, and get their advice on if it's okay for you to leave the house while things are processing. As for the other, you need to fill your time. Devote yourself to hobbies, including picking up new ones. Rely on friends, long video calls, watching movies together, etc. Fill as much of your time as you can until things start to process. I'm so sorry he gave up on you without even trying. You deserve far better than that. It's a shame some people are so good at hiding how little respect they have for other folk. But please hold on to the fact that none of this was your fault. There is absolutely zero reason for a partner to cheat, ever, and there is absolutely no justification that can put even a shred of the blame on you. You can't go to therapy and work this out. It only gets worked out if both people want to put the effort in. And your husband has made it very clear he's not interested in trying to make the relationship work. He directly told you that. You need to find a lawyer and file for divorce. Have a mantra to help you when things get overwhelming. I'm going to be okay. This sucks, but I'm going to be okay. I am a loyal, trustworthy, hardworking woman. I deserve the same in return. I am beautiful, I am confident, I am worthy. Even if you don't feel they are true in this moment, it will help to say them out loud until they hold truth to you. I'm sorry you are going through this. You can't trust this man anymore and he is not willing to compromise with you. You deserve better. Make sure you are serious in your conviction that your husband is a stranger who doesn't deserve your time. Same goes for your friend. That means they aren't allowed to weasel their way back into your life. You loving either one of them is not an excuse to let them back in your life. You have to accept and understand that fact. One or the other will want some form of contact at some point. They don't deserve that from you. Throw yourself into hobbies, friends, getting a new job, exercising, whatever. Update. I had one conversation with my husband since everything happened, by his choice. It lasted maybe 5 minutes and was like talking to a robot. I know from others that he cries to people about how he ruined his life, but I have never once gotten an apology or the same show of regret. At this point, I don't care. I know him and the other woman are still seeing each other and frankly, they deserve each other. Good for them. While I still feel angry occasionally, I no longer mourn what I once had. Instead, I'm so excited for the life I now get to live. I moved to a small walkable city and gave myself my dream apartment. It makes me so happy to see how I've decorated it and to just live in a cozy place instead of our old dreary house. I was the breadwinner in our marriage, and he would make me feel awful about wanting to pay for nice meals or do fun things. Since moving here, I've done a ton of foodie fun stuff and don't feel guilty. It's so refreshing. I have dipped my toe into the dating pool again and had plenty of mediocre dates from dating apps. Recently, I found someone who I've really clicked with and am enjoying how appreciated and desired he's made me feel. It's definitely early and we're moving slow, but overall, dating has made me realize that I'm a catch who doesn't have to settle. Therapy has done wonders and I'm so happy I immediately dove into it. My therapist is proud of me. I'm proud of me. I've stopped looking at being divorced as a failure. He failed, not me. I'm genuinely happy and excited to wake up each morning and no longer feel like this terrible weight is sitting on my chest. The holidays were surprisingly easy and I found myself so happy to spend time with my family without having to compromise anything. So all in all, life is good and there's so much of it ahead. Looking back, I can't believe I wasted so much time thinking about how I could get him to come home. I've made my own home and my own happiness, and that is worth so much more. It made me sad that you were worried about overanalyzing the times you might have looked pathetic to him. For starters, he was pathetic for doing that to you, and it's not pathetic being lied to, manipulated, and gaslighted. So I'm glad that you see it as his failure and not yours, because that's exactly it. You've done nothing wrong and you're well rid of this guy. I'm happy you're doing so well. You sound awesome. She grew up with an abusive piece of trash dad and has anxiety issues because of that. Her mom is very evangelical Christian. Her mom has never really liked me because I'm not that religious. She is the oldest of 5 siblings and had to grow up fast to take care of the younger ones. She put herself through nursing school and is an RN. I went to a military academy and am now an officer in the US military. We started dating after my freshman year. She lived within a few hours drive, so I could usually sneak out and see her like every other weekend. By junior year, I went on an exchange program to a different military academy in a different part of the country. During this time, one of her siblings developed a drug problem and overdosed, but lived. I should have been more there for her, but all I could do is talk on the phone or FaceTime. At the same time, we were disagreeing on religion and it was not a good time for our relationship. Her family and church and everyone all didn't like me because I wasn't one of them. Eventually we broke up. She broke up with me. Neither of us took the breakup well, but her especially. When I got back over Christmas, we talked it out and ended up getting back together. She told me that while we were broken up, she hooked up with a dude from her church. This dude was a friend she had talked about before and probably one of the whispers telling her to end it with me. I wasn't that upset about it because we were broken up, although I did not sleep with anyone else in that time period. Since then I again moved out of state, but we're much better at distance now. I asked her to marry me over Christmas this last year. Fast forward 2 years to last night, and she told me that she had actually slept with that dude before we broke up, the day before we broke up, and she has lied about it all this time. I've never had to deal with anything like this. I'm mad and confused and I don't know what I should do or what I want to do. We've had a really healthy relationship ever since we broke up. She distanced herself from the crazy church and we go on road trip adventures to national parks and stuff whenever I get leave. I can't help feeling like I shouldn't marry someone who cheated on me though. I really believe she regrets it and will do anything to make up for it. I am not worried about it happening again, so I feel like trust isn't really the right word for my issue. I wouldn't be comfortable with my partner anymore if I knew he cheated on me. And that's because for me it's really hard to forget. I believe if a person forgives, they need to forget in order for a relationship to work. And I know every time I got mad with him I would bring the fact that he cheated on me. Or I would be insecure if he went out with his friends, for example. I think you need to think about how your relationship will be affected from now on and if you can forgive her. Look, at the end of the day, yeah, she was clearly in a very bad place in an LDR and the cheating was the sort of self-sabotage, nail in the coffin that ends a lot of these sorts of dynamics. It all makes sense, and I think if you wanted to make your peace with it, then this is about as sympathetic a scenario as I can think of for a situation like this. Though don't take that as me saying I condone it per se. But in saying that, can you make peace with it? Is that something you think that you, as a person, can do? Because if you can't, it eats you alive. I thought I could deal with it, I couldn't. I became jealous, controlling, spiteful, toxic. I would freak out every time she spoke to another guy. I would freak out anytime she did anything resembling what was happening at the time of the cheating. In some ways, I became a worse partner than her despite the cheating. Be real about that. I know you wanted to marry her, but this forces you to reframe everything. Not just because she cheated, but because she'd have let that lie go seemingly forever, and that is a scary concept. You know now she can lie to your face and you can't detect it. If you're thinking of getting married with her, you need to do the following: get a prenup. In your case, you should never get married to her without one. Get her into individual counseling to help her realize why she did what she did. She's also likely to have a lot of unsolved issues that have built up due to her what she's dealt with. Also try and see before marriage. Get her to write a timeline of the affair and give it to you. Tell her all details should be written in that. No trickle truths. Tell her to write it carefully because later on if you find any information about her affair not written in that, you walk then and there. Excuses like "I thought it was not important," and especially "I forgot about that" is simply not acceptable. I'm sorry, but if it happened once, you absolutely have to worry about it happening again. Please don't walk through your relationships with your eyes wide shut. Do not marry someone who cheated on you during the relationship. There are stories with guys whose cheating wives cheated on them when they were dating or engaged, and they really had no business marrying them to begin with, knowing that. It's like you see the bullet heading towards you in slow motion and you're on the fence about whether you should dodge it or just take it to the chest. Walk away, dude. You're honestly too young to be settling down, especially with a woman who's already cheated on you.